What's up everybody? This week we're going to be drawing Islamic architecture. So I'm not really familiar with Islamic architecture. I've been to Istanbul maybe once. So before I can start drawing anything, let's do some research on the internet. Look up Islamic architecture, images. Cool arches, a lot of patterns, hexagon buildings with gold, towers around the temple. Alright, so these are all temples, but let's have a look on how cities look. Okay, skyscrapers. Okay, cool. Temples, buildings, and trees all over the place. Water, river. These are some of the images I liked. Let's have a look what makes them Islamic. Now, one of the first things I really noticed is that they have, and that's like the top left section is really about pillars. Right here you can really see that there are rows and rows of pillars. And this is also something you not only see on the inside of buildings, but also here it's like part of the outside structure. They really have these arches everywhere and then a pillar between the arches. And I picked this mosque because this is the Blue Mosque in Istanbul, and it's really a beautiful mosque, not only on the outside but specifically on the inside. They really have a beautiful ceiling. Also, I see here that there are like towers on the outside. You see that over here, but you see this also here on the right image. In the city is that there are towers, right? And here I see 2 towers, and here I see 6 towers. So it looks a bit like the more important a building is, the more towers it has. There's really a lot of color. They really use a lot of color. Right here we have this golden dome. We can see that the building has a dome in the middle. But over here I actually see that there are domes everywhere. Right? It's like a part of the roof is just filled with domes. Not only in the middle of the mosque, but also like here on the around the mosque you see all these small domes. So it seems like there's a wall like this, and then of course we have these pillars in there. And on top of this wall we have these, it seems like they're a little bit elongated ellipses, which are actually domes. And they also have a spike on top. And an example of how that is also over here, right? So this is really an Islamic architecture element. And the dome, of course, is also an Islamic element. Now another thing I see with these towers is that it seems to be having 3 levels before we have the top. You also see that over here, right? We have 3 levels. Also over here with this one. So overall a tower seems to be divided up in 3. And I know that 3 is like a holy number. So that might be the reason why. I don't only want to look at the temples or the mosque, but I also want to look on how they, like what is the context of these mosques. It's quite a diverse city, you know, Istanbul, because there's in the back you can see all these skyscrapers, and in the front you have these different houses. The most prominent thing we see in this shot are actually the rooftops. If we want to be able to draw Islamic architecture or a city, one of the things we really need to comprehend is drawing the rooftops of these buildings. They have like this kind of shape, and then they have small windows on the outside, something like this. Now before I start drawing, I always want to take some time to visualize the horizon or the perspective. In this drawing I want to use a fisheye lens or a 5-point perspective, and I want to have one of the vanishing points on the left side of the drawing. The right vanishing point is also going to be on the drawing, but more on the edge of the drawing. And now that I know this, it's a lot easier to actually start drawing because I know where the buildings are converging towards, right? So as you can see over here, these buildings are really building up in this perspective grid. apart from buildings and mosques and skyscrapers and all these things, they probably also have cars and vans in Istanbul. So I'm just placing them in there to make the drawing look more realistic. And now the hard part, the mosque. Now, while drawing this mosque, I'm not really sure how I want to let it look. So I'm just sketching out a couple of things here and erasing because I'm really searching for this shape, right? Now, eventually, I really want to have this mosque look like the blue mosque I talked about earlier because it's just an awesome building. And what you see me doing here is just, you know, one of the things to really create depth is to have these arches and these top domes really be smaller while they go into the distance, because this really suggests depth. Another way of creating depth is by playing with the level of detail. Now, level of detail is the amount of details you add to an object. So for example, if we look at the windows on the skyscraper on the left, or we look at the windows in the mosque, you can see that these windows are just squares or rectangles, right? But the windows that are pretty close to us, in the wall on the right or in the tower, we can actually see the outside and the inside of the window, so it has a lot more detail and thus suggests that it's closer to us. Here you see me repeat the shape of the arch and the dome. And I do that to over-exaggerate this Islamic architectural element we found in the study. If I didn't do that, we could misinterpret this temple by being Roman architecture or any other old architecture. So instead of understating this element, I'm actually overstating it. And that makes the drawing a lot clearer. To top it off, I draw some buildings in the background with a low level of detail. This really enhances the depth of the drawing. And I put some clouds in the sky to make sure that it communicates the sky. Now, to give this drawing a little bit of funk, I just want to draw in a cat. Why a cat? I don't know, I just really like cats. And let's make this cat a smart-ass cat. Alright, so we can see that drawing Islamic architecture is not as easy as it looks. And that's because there's a lot of different shapes in there. We have arches, we have domes, we have pillars. It's very different from modern architecture. In the good old days, architecture was meant to be very decorative, styleful, as you can see over here. Now, in modern architecture, this is totally different. These buildings are a lot more boxy. They have less decoration, and the outside is not so much concrete, but it's more steel and glass. Except for buildings like this, I don't know what's going on over here. Thanks for watching, and I hope this video was helpful. If you're struggling like Jacob with drawing anything, just share it in the comments and I might be able to make a video about it. But for now, thanks for watching, consider subscribing to my channel, watch this video if you want to know something about perspective, and have an awesome day. Stay safe, bye bye.